Okay, we're going to bring to order the August 14th Berlin Select Board meeting. And the first order of business is approval of minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the July 24th, 2023 minutes.
I will second.
Okay, is there anything to be said on the minutes? If not, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. General public comment. Okay. Our first appointment this evening is with our treasurer collector.
Coming up. Yay.
I told him he had to sit in the hot seat. His head went down. I think he was like trying to figure out how to leave.
How are we this evening?
I am good. How are you?
Good.
Good. So yeah, I've just to give you an update on things that are going on. I've officially hit the 6-month mark at the beginning of the month, so that was fun. It was it was good.
You've yet to run screaming from the building, so we're very happy about that.
Yes, that's we're good there. Still working on some projects. I'm going to be putting in some of the accruals next week, so that we can start tracking those on the paychecks. I'm going to do it with some departments first, just to kind of roll it out, make sure everything's working correctly before we go across the board with it. That way, if there's any mistakes or issues, we can just clean up a couple people as opposed to trying to do everybody at one time. Still working as well on the OPEB project that kind of took a backseat with year end and trying to get all of that squared away. As we'll see with our next item on the agenda. I'm sorry, I can't speak today. I'm looking to do some type of a reorganization within the office, and obviously, like I said, we can talk about that momentarily. Other than that, the day-to-day is going well. We're, collecting plenty of money. Cash flow is good. Yeah, I think that's about it, unless anybody has any questions for me on anything.
So things going well with Vadar. It's all you had hoped it to be.
Yep.
Clearing up issues with making June's life just a little bit easier.
I'm trying, for sure. Yep, it's it's a good program. We can, there are definitely pieces of it that we could use, differently. And June and I have discussed that, just to, get full use of all the modules and everything. But no, it's a good software. It does exactly what we need it to do. Knock on wood, there hasn't been any outages, because it is all cloud-based, so you run that risk, obviously. But no, they actually just updated their environment not long ago. They put in all new servers and everything, so things are actually running faster than they were previously, which is a good thing. And there's more security on there, obviously, as well, with everything that's going on in the world in the cybersecurity space. They had to update some of their protocols, but
So no major issues that you're running into with it? Any, oh crap, wish I
No.
could?
No, I mean, luckily, being that I worked at Vadar and I know people who work there, if something does come up, I can obviously, talk to them and hopefully, at least know what I'm talking about to get things going. But no, I mean, they pretty much, I haven't seen anything as of yet anyways that we should have that they don't provide for us as a service. So we're in good shape there.
So what are your plans to roll it out? You said some test people. You're going to pick the people that have issues and not the easy ones?
Well, I'm gonna.
How was that? Was that politically correct? That was well done? Thank you.
Yeah, at our last department head meeting, I asked each department, if I could help me, if they wouldn't mind giving me a couple of guinea pigs that I can do that with. So, I want to at least, obviously I'm going to do myself and try to get people in different scenarios, like somebody from the police department, somebody from the fire, because they all have different different things. So, and you know, in theory, if it works for one, it should work for the other, and we'll kind of go from there. But you know, that's never how that works. So we'll do what we can. I mean, and the good news is we are still tracking it outside. So worst case, you know, even if it is wrong on the paycheck, that doesn't mean it's wrong. You know, it doesn't mean that's what you add. It's not, you know, the be all end all. It's just honestly a piece of paper with numbers on it at that point, and we can fix that. So it's more just making sure that all the employees understand that even if we do roll it out in 2 or 3 months down the line, there is an issue. It's nothing that can't be fixed. It's just a matter of understanding how the process works and having our payroll company help us fix it. So
Then we're processing tax collections through Vadar and tax billing through Vadar, and not through the old DOS software that
Correct.
existed years ago.
yes, yep. All of our billing and collections are done through there.
And are we still looking at trying to do biweekly pay at the end of the fiscal year?
I mean, I would like it personally.
Mhm.
I know that actually I shouldn't say I know. I believe that's something that has to be negotiated in contracts. Is my understanding. I don't know that
I believe
for
it's in
certain,
both the
but-
police and fire contract that for the end of this fiscal year, we can move over to biweekly pay.
Yep, so we would start at the beginning of FY '25.
Right.
We got it for the last month of the police contract, and the fire contract,
I think they just agreed to it.
agreed to,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think they
we
agreed to
didn't
it in the
have.
You might have had the same.
Right.
Right.
I was
Might
gonna
have
say,
had
we
the
didn't
same
change
dates
it.
in it.
Right.
Yep,
'Cause I just, if we're gonna try to do it for even, you know, July 1st, 2024, you know, a project plan and a timeline.
Sure.
Because we all know that next summer we'll be here in a blink of an eye if we don't
Of course.
think about it. I'd hate to have us miss that deadline, because I at least have the opinion that going to a biweekly pay will sort of lessen some of the work that gets done. It doesn't cut it in half, because, you know, you have to process 2 weeks at once. It takes a little bit longer than 1 week, but still.
Right, but I mean, you do kind of have that off week
Yep.
where you're not
Yep.
doing it, and it would save us money on the payroll processing in general, because
Yep.
we get charged for each payroll warrant
Mm-hmm.
that we produce through the payroll system. So
And I
it
know
would cut that in half theoretically.
And that one of the concerns, at least when it was last raised, for me, which could have been a bit ago, was that there were sometimes problems with some of the frontline worker pay hours,
Yeah.
and it just, whatever we do in a biweekly pay cycle, to make sure there's a system that people are not waiting 2 weeks if somehow we have messed up their pay.
Oh, sure. I
Which
mean,
I think we easily can do.
I mean,
biweekly.
even as it is currently. I
Right.
mean, if we found out that something was messed up, we could pay them right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the payroll system's very flexible in that respect, so
Good.
they wouldn't have to wait a whole 2 weeks if something were to happen.
and one of the things we're working on implementing, if we haven't already, and I forgot to confirm, the call firefighters going from monthly to weekly. She has been putting, okay, so, we did check with, council on that during the firefighter negotiation, and they do need to be paid, within 7 days like everybody else, even though they're call. So they are not no longer waiting a month to be paid.
Oh, good. I didn't think anyone was waiting a month to get paid, but okay,
No.
that's good.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. And then OPED, we're waiting on both the accrual study and some of the rules, although I think some of the rules we were gonna wait to see the
They're
accrual, because the accrual is gonna see it
correct.
like in 4 different angles,
Exactly.
or 5, I forget the magic number, but
It's
several.
really
ways
going
look
to
at it.
drive those, how we shape it in
Yep.
terms of the policy.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
Do we have a time frame-ish, month, 2 months?
I mean, it should be, I would think, within 2 months at the latest at this point. I've gone back and forth with the actuary firm, just exchanging data.
Mhm.
So it's not, you know, the project is ongoing. Like I said, it was more just a matter of the time of year.
Mhm.
It just got pushed off. But I would think, I mean, we're in the middle of August now. I would hope, you know, by this time in September, if not, you know, the beginning of October at the latest, we should have something. But I don't even think it'll take that long, because like I said, it's more a matter of just making sure that he has the most recent data, which I've given
Mhm.
to him, and more just me sitting down with him and explain, going over it, than me sitting down with Kristen in June, making sure that it looks good, and then we can present to you guys.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't, but I'm wondering if it's worthy just jumping right into the
Yeah.
reorg plan agenda item, since you're already sitting right here and have alluded to it already.
Sure.
We sure can.
So we can discuss or vote on reorganization of the treasurer collector's office and new
Mhm.
assistant treasurer collector position.
Yeah.
Would you like just a brief overview?
Mhm.
Sure.
Please.
Absolutely. So when I started, one of the things that Dennis actually brought to my attention was a possible reorganization of the office. And he said, you have a new person coming on board. I don't want to make any changes as the outgoing treasurer collector. Let the new treasurer come on, spend some time in the office, and see what they think. And not entirely surprisingly, Paul has come forward and recommended consolidating the part-time positions of assistant collector and assistant treasurer into a full-time position of assistant treasurer collector. It would be a cross-trained position. This is the way a lot of towns are going. So you would also have 2 full-time positions in the office. So you would have coverage from 8:30 to 5 for the window when the office is open. So that improves services for residents. Also provides recommended checks and balances. The treasurer is not supposed to be handling cash and depositing it to him or herself. In the case when you have one person, the treasurer in the office by themselves, that is what they are doing out of necessity, because you're not going to leave cash laying around. So it would resolve that issue. And also succession planning, which we've talked about or started to talk about on a personnel level, and how we grow our employees, retain our employees. And this is, like I said, a way a lot of the towns are going, because then you have 2 fully trained people in the office. This is actually the only financial office we have that is not staffed by 2 employees during the hours that they're open to the public. And I would argue this is one of the most forward, front-facing offices, because they are taking walk-in tax payments on, a regular basis from the public. So, one of the things we talked about was how would we shape this position, and we went to the personnel committee last week with a draft job description, which is also in your packet there. And the recommendation was unanimously approved by the personnel committee. I look at the workload in the office, the special projects we've added, but also, how extensive the work is at end of year. And I just really think having that full-time coverage would really make a difference. And I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, Paul.
No, it's you don't necessarily see it on a daily basis, but there's certain things that I would be able to get done in, say, a week or a month, but now it takes 2 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on the scope of the project. And it's tough because there's a lot of starting and stopping as far as projects go, and just working. I mean, granted, that's the nature of working in municipality in general. Anyways, you got to be flexible, and I'm more than willing to do whatever needs to be done. But it does make it difficult to actually devote the appropriate time to the more high end projects, and yeah, it just really, to what Kristen said too, the checks and balance thing is huge, because it can, obviously you have nothing to worry about on that end, but at the same time, if something were to happen, that's not going to look good for me or for the department or anything like that. And this is just adds another layer of security in that respect. Yeah, I think that was all it definitely was not a decision that was taken lightly, especially considering that, I'm sure you can imagine we have 2 part-time people there now, so obviously it would take 2 jobs and then turn that into 1. So at a bare minimum, 1 person would no longer be here. So that, and that's not something that I took lightly. I spoke with the two gentlemen who work in my office, and they both completely understand. You know, they both honestly agreed. They thought it made sense. It's so yeah. That's all I have for the moment.
Right, so there should be a giant spread. As you point out, Dennis has made this recommendation, I think, a couple of times. From my standpoint, I think it's a continuation of the merging those two offices into one that we started with a bylaw change and moved it from elected to an appointed position. And the two part-time people, how many hours do they work now combined?
One is 16 and one is 18.
Correct.
And then there was also a 4-hour file clerk. So you're pretty.
Do you still have the
And so
file
the 4-hour
clerk?
We
file
do
group will
not.
also go away?
Oh.
No, there is
She,
none.
I
She
believe
left.
She left,
left
not
during.
fill it.
And we, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it was during
But it will
COVID
take-
or if it, or I don't. I
Yeah.
honestly don't know all the background now.
Okay.
But we do not currently know.
Okay.
Right, so there's, as we were, sorry, we had a small sidetrack. There are currently 3 positions, because there's a 4-week file clerk that's currently vacant.
Correct.
But that the hours of the 3 positions equal about the hours of this.
I think the
new
file
position.
clerk was senior work off too,
Mhm.
wasn't she?
She was converted into a 4-hour
Yeah,
a week
I
position,
believe
but
it's
started
senior,
as senior.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the one thing
And,
where, oh, sorry.
Good.
I was just gonna say, obviously salary is a question, so we looked at what the budget was currently for those part-time hours, and it's literally just $1,000. So then our next step was to do a survey of area towns that have those positions that are of comparable size and nature to Berlin. And, you know, of course, there's always a range. But we really felt comfortable settling in at about the 55,000 range. That looks like that'd be able to get us a good qualified person. You know, plus or minus, personnel said for the right person, you could go up to as high as 60. But we would advertise it as a 55 plus. Just giving a look. You would advertise it as a 55 plus or minus. It's not Sue's fault. It's my fault. Direct those stairs this way. But you know, what we would do is obviously that would be an adjustment that we could carry for a bit in the department itself, and then we would look to see where we're at with local receipts. It's also would be a position that wouldn't start until about 3 months into the fiscal year. So you're not looking at the full 5,000 to 10,000 for the year. There is the possibility that if we had to, now I'm going to get looks from this way, that we could do maybe a reserve fund transfer for the rest of this year and put it in for FY25 in the budget if we didn't have the local receipts to cover it. So now everyone hates me in the room, so we're
No,
good. No, it's not, it's small money to really try to get the right person, and we're fortunately very close actually to the budget that we had for the department. So I was actually pleasantly surprised when we ran the comps that we were not very far off.
And when would you be starting interviewing or?
I would love to advertise tomorrow
Okay.
if you're amenable.
Okay, any other questions?
No, my 2 were answered on the impact to the budget, and is there any risk of those 2 people that you have now saying, hey, see ya? You know,
That was one of my fears as well. I've already spoken, like I said, to both of them, and they were both, you know, willing to stay on for as long as needed to, you know, because my I think you alluded to, my fear is we put this out there and we don't get a qualified person.
Right.
So what happens then? And both have already, you know, said they completely understand. Luckily, Stephen, who's the assistant treasurer, he's worked in municipalities for a long time, so he knows the ins and outs of it.
gets it.
So he understands, and Brian does as well. You know, he hasn't been doing it obviously as long, but they both completely understand the, you know, that we may not get somebody. So this might, you know, like even if you were to say yes today, that doesn't necessarily mean this is happening tomorrow. It's not anything like that. And I wanted to make sure I let them know before, you know, I didn't want them to be blindsided and not find out via this meeting that this is something that's going to happen or anything like that. So they were both very appreciative and both willing to help as far as any, you know, onboarding and training or anything that I need in that respect. So.
And one thing we did was make it clear that they were welcome to apply
Yes,
for this position.
that's correct.
Because of various constraints due to retirement, it doesn't look like that would work. But they are certainly welcome.
Mhm. Okay. If there are no more questions, then do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion that we proceed with the treasurer, tax collector office reorganization as outlined, and proceed to hire a full-time assistant treasurer, tax collector.
I can second that.
Okay. Then we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Awesome.
Very good.
Thank you very much. I
See,
appreciate
the hot
it.
seat wasn't too bad
Wasn't
tonight,
too
was
bad.
it?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's
Oh, just wait.
oh, sure. But no, I do appreciate that it's, I've, had the fortune or misfortune of dealing with boards in the past that have not been, I don't know, just
Amicable.
amenable to any type of change. And it's, even if, it didn't go that way, I know that you would at least listen
Yep.
to everything and take in the information and make the decision that's
Mhm.
best. So I do appreciate that.
Well, and that was part of my hope when you came on, that we gave you enough time for you to get settled and look around and go, ooh, how can I be a little bit more effective and efficient?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll definitely help out on the not only on the day-to-day, but I think
Mhm.
as far as long-term future and
Mhm.
just being able to really take some off of my plate so that I can focus on the bigger ticket
Mhm.
items. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice to see you. Never see
Thanks.
you.
Good to see you.
I know, it's,
We
Never
hide the
see you.
numbers, people.
we do.
Mhm.
Stay in the back. Nobody
No,
can.
they're good. We don't want them to leave.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night,
Paul-
Paul.
Thank you,
Paul's
sir.
off to school, so
Yeah,
he's gotta run.
hopefully, for the next time I talk to you guys, I'm taking my tax collector certification exam on Friday.
Nice.
Ooh,
Good luck.
good luck.
Hopefully, pass that, and we'll be
Golden.
fully certified.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. To class, yes. No partying. I got it.
It's at UMass Amherst.
He's going off to the dorms.
That's right.
Oh, that's where you go. You
It
used to
is.
go to the dorms all the time.
We still do.
Do you?
Well, we try once a year.
All right, the town administrator report.
Okay, well, lots going on. We have a number of projects underway as well as personnel matters. I have good news mostly about the community garden fence. The fence is actually complete. There is an issue with the lock that will be fixed. We would ask folks who are listening to please not mess with the lock. That would be appreciated. There is a video you can watch about it, and we are trying to get it fixed, but modifications to the lock are preferably not requested. So we did have to do 2 change orders. The first was to add approximately 48 linear feet of fencing to the sides of the shed, so 24 to each side. That created some storage space for compost, wood chips, and loam. And then the gate had to be widened slightly to allow the department, highway department vehicles to enter the garden. So that is going well and almost done there. Tomorrow, I'm excited to report the hybrid meeting room upgrades start. We had our last minute prep meeting this afternoon. Brittany will be here, making sure everything goes where it's supposed to go. And just so folks know, the meeting rooms are unavailable the rest of this week at night on 218 and 227. But 226, if I'm getting my rooms correct. The last one on the left is still available. I guess still I have my room numbers down pat. And then we will have hybrid capabilities in both of those rooms, which will be wonderful. I was actually hoping to have a exciting announcement tonight. I don't quite yet. But on the personnel side, the screening committee and myself, it consisted of Chris Keefe, Sue Tarian, June Poland, and Paul Redman, interviewed 4 candidates for Mary's position, the administrative assistant to the town administrator. There was 1 candidate that was unanimously recommended. I have done a conditional offer letter, And we were actually supposed to touch base today, but that didn't happen, so I'm hoping to be able to touch base tomorrow and finalize that. We do also have a new assessor. The Board of Assessors voted on July 24th to appoint Linda Barisha as the next Director of Assessing. She will start on September 11th. And as we just talked about, the Personnel Committee approved the Treasurer-Collector Office reorganization. And lastly, on personnel, I was asked to participate in round 2 interviews for the first police officer position. The panel unanimously recommended the appointment of a young lady named Nicole Maffey, who is on your agenda tonight. She will need to attend the academy, so that will be about a year process until next summer when she's ready to go by herself. But a very impressive young woman who I'm really excited to have met. So, also submitted a couple grants. Our fresh fridge is doing pretty well in the hallway, so we asked for another year for our healthy foods and snacks at a discounted rate. I wanted to extend a big congratulations to COA Social Services Director Victoria Flynn Sankaran, who received a $35,000 digital literacy grant that's going to provide internet training and devices for seniors. So we're going to be rolling that out, and we may be calling you for a few tips. We are going to be trying to design different programs, whether it be grant pads or different kind of things that we're looking at. Really, the idea is to create access because, as we saw during COVID, everything has to be signed up for online. So getting people comfortable with the internet, and then other things like social media if they're interested or what have you.
My office actually got a grant like that about 6 or 8 months ago.
Oh, okay.
And it was painful, but I've learned a few things that I might pass along.
Well, I am certainly sending Victoria your way, so I appreciate that. Another big thanks to and congratulations to Highway Superintendent Fred Cummings for receiving a Forward grant for dynamic speed feedback and sign and a school zone speed limit sign. So this is grants that were specifically allocated to rural communities, as the state has shown their commitment to rural communities by hiring a new coordinator, and this is one of their first efforts they've rolled out, and we received them. So that was great.
Are we back to being a rural community?
Smaller communities,
Okay.
not gateway cities, basically, is what they're calling
Okay.
rural communities. The goal of the Healy administration in hiring Ann Goby was to work with the non-cities and non-gateway communities. So some of the more rural areas. Not that we're necessarily a rural town for the purposes of
Grants.
schools or grants or
Right.
anything like that, but a lot of these are targeted at smaller communities, which we qualify for, which is nice. And they actually identified certain towns and roads that would be beneficial, and we were identified as one of the communities that
So
could
is this
benefit
like
from this.
speed limit on South Street, that kind of thing?
So these
or-
are signs that can be moved around. So,
Okay.
and then the school zone signs, obviously,
All right.
would be over at BMS. So,
Okay.
yeah, so pretty good. They do have to go in a specific location for, I want to say it's a few weeks out of the year, and I think it was South Street at, was it out Linden? Or South Street coming off the Rotary at Pleasant, where people were speeding, somewhere between Pleasant and Pleasant and, oh my gosh, sorry, South
Pleasant
Street
has the
between
cemetery and
Pleasant
South has the
and
school.
Linden. And so they have to be in that specific location for a little while, but then they can be moved around after that. So there's kind of areas that were identified as needing
So it's,
more
what
resources.
did you say it was?
South
Pleasant?
Street,
On South, Pleasant and South?
Pleasant and South.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'll get
okay.
the specific details too on that exact
Gotta get
location
around
for
more
So
that.
by the
driving
post,
around,
so
huh?
by the post office, because that's where
Sounds
they.
like it.
Okay. Well, that starts the
Oh,
They
they
speedway.
can-
kind
that
of
starts-
zoom around that corner.
That starts the speedway down Pleasant, right there.
Mm-hmm.
I know Tim was talking today in Pleasant Street. He was sitting outside his farm watching like the campers zoom by because there was accident on 495, and so everybody was cutting through
Detouring.
town going down Pleasant Street. So,
Mm.
yeah, but I'll get you the exact sites on that. The UMass Community Study presentation has been scheduled for September 14th at 6 o'clock p.m. We're hoping to do it as a hybrid meeting in one of our rooms down in the back. So excited about that. Thanks to Peg. Peg was on Facebook, and happened to see a local graphic designer and website designer who was wanting to get some kind of consulting experience. And she sent me a fabulous proposal to rebuild the town's website. And basically it looks like it's going to cost us less than $5,000. So I'm extremely excited about that. Also opportunities for training. And I'm hoping that the new person who hopefully will come work for us also has a lot of experience using Civics Plus and updating websites.
Nice.
So really hoping that will all gel together nicely. We'll get our website updated, and part of the proposal was she wants to have it done in time to submit it for MMA's website awards.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
So not a municipal person, but did her homework.
Yeah.
So very excited about that. We're also looking at the cell tower matter. Still working with the folks over at Spooky World. There is an enforcement order issue that we're working on with conservation. I'm pleased to report the town office's roof on the municipal side is complete, and final inspection should be scheduled in about a month. There's a manufacturer warranty inspection that takes a little while to schedule. We are in the process of reviewing the one response we received to the Municipal Facilities Assessment and Reuse Plan RFP. Kudos to Peg again, because she got it in before me or Fred, but we're getting there. The rec courts are very active
Busy.
and busy, so we're excited about that. We had a monthly department head meeting. We talked about procurement, open meeting law, and public records. And the town of Boxborough has been granted provisional membership in the Neshoba Valley Regional Dispatch District. So that will be provisional for 1 year, see how it works, and then make a final decision going into the following year. So
Good.
that's what I have for you.
So how many goals have we picked off for you?
Almost 4, I think. Rec courts, roof,
Garden,
garden,
website?
website. Yep, we're getting there. It's not done, but it's on its way. So, yeah. Facility study underway.
Yep.
We're getting
5?
there.
Yep.
Because I've started reviewing it, and they look pretty good. So I think we'll hopefully be able to go with them.
Yeah, if you can't read my scribbles, let me know. I tried to print as nicely as possible.
You scribble not as bad as me, so I can read your scribbles.
Okay.
So I had a question for you, Kristen. I think at our last meeting, we were talking about the IAC membership. And is there still one vacancy after those 2 additional people voted?
I'll have to check. I thought we...
And if there is, I was wondering what kind of representation do they need to have?
Okay, let me check that out. I'll let you know.
All right. Somehow I thought we were short one still, but maybe I'm wrong.
'Cause I know we
I
had...
thought we were short one too,
We
Yeah.
had police, fire, retiree.
because I went to the website last time and it
Didn't-
looked like we were
might
2
not have gotten
employed.
updated.
We employed 1 I thought it was an employee spot that actually I thought was empty, but
Well, maybe,
But
very
do we
well
have a
maybe.
person at large? Or do we need a person at
Don't
large, I
think
should
so,
say?
because it's employee related.
Okay,
But oh, you know what? It looks like town government retiree and
Yep.
retiree representative are both on there, and I don't know if that's the same. Because
Well, it
Molly
says-
signed on as the retiree rep, and then there's a town government retiree position that's vacant. So I'll have to find out what the
Yeah.
difference is between the 2 of those.
yeah, because I think it gave a number too,
yeah, there's
of
supposed
how
to be
many, how many?
I thought 8. I was trying
That's
to
what
look
I
it
was
up quickly,
thinking,
but
thought it was 8, and I thought we had 7.
You
So
are
no one
correct.
could answer the question, so, at the last meeting, so we're
Excellent.
asking you now.
Great, I will figure it out. I'll let you know.
All right.
So one question I had, which it triggered a thought, Kristen, when you talked about a potential reserve fund transfer, maybe if needed. Where are we on filling a FinCom slot? Because again, my concern is if we need money and somebody's on vacation or gone, we're dead in the water.
So we have a quorum, but we do not have any of the other positions filled at this time.
Any movement on,
I have not heard of any movement, so I can certainly
So is Scott kind of like
Follow
taking
up
charge
again.
because the person who was supposed to appoint has done a
I
little?
shared that information with him that he did have authority to do so. Let me follow up with Scott.
Okay.
It was Scott who told me I had the authority when I took over chair after he left, so
Yeah.
you should be aware
You
of that.
conveniently
Well, I'm
forget
sure.
when you're gone for
I
a
know,
little while.
And it's true that like select board can't appoint any of this. We have no authority of any of that.
No, because it's supposed to be like an
Yep,
independent
yep.
watchdog body, if you will.
Yeah, there was a town that like dismissed the select board dismissed the entire FinCom. I forget what the town.
There's your
was.
checks and balances right there.
I know. It might not.
Yeah,
It might
oh,
not have been.
another
It might not
town.
have been. It might not have been a Massachusetts town, but it
Oh,
was.
okay.
It was. Yeah, the independent that was overseeing the budget. And the select board didn't like the budget they did, so they got rid of them all and put together their own budget. I'm like, oh, that just
That defeats the whole purpose.
that wasn't a great thing.
No,
No
not a good
transparency.
idea.
No, because unfortunately, we know that budget season will be upon us more than anyone
Yep.
would think, and would love to see a plan where we work a little bit more closely with Boylston. You know,
Mhm.
our counterparts, your counterparts, FinCom's counterparts, so there's no surprises. We all hear the same questions, the same answers, same town. Done.
And I will tell you that April, the town administrator over in Boylston, is absolutely on the same page with
Good.
that. And I think there will be a lot more communication back and forth this year. And
Early.
I've worked to build that relationship as well. So
A lot earlier than the 11th hour.
yes.
Oh, it all kind of came as a big surprise.
Well, it did come as a
didn't
big surprise, so maybe if we're more of a united front, it won't be
Right.
That's the
a big
goal.
surprise.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, the TA report doesn't seem to be getting to the website. I clicked the link because I was out of town, and so I clicked
Oh,
the link.
That
on
doesn't
the-
work. It's never worked.
It's
Well,
not working? Oh, okay.
I
When you're
clicked
on the
so
agenda.
the click on the agenda, link on the agenda, takes you to a folder
Mhm.
on the website, which takes you to a folder that only has things from June. Yeah, so click that link, because that link works. But it's only things through fiscal year 23.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So,
Let me get that fixed.
yeah.
So maybe you have to do something each year?
Maybe
just-
you have to
or just-
start a new folder and just start.
Starting
with
from
the-
just dropping them in.
They
So it looks
haven't
like
been dropped
they've all
in.
yeah, a copy of it, so you provide them to us, but it'd be just neat. I mean, I think there's great stuff in there.
Yeah.
We discuss it here. It's a pretty open thing, but.
Right.
uh,
But if you miss
and
the meeting, you might wanna go
Miss
back
the
and look.
meeting, or we want to go back and look, or.
Well, and I will
Just-
not forget my first coffee talk
Yeah.
at which I was asked, how do you intend to communicate more clearly with the public? And we said, we'll put the town administrator reports on the
Yeah.
website, so, well, yeah,
There we
we'll
go.
get that fixed.
I
Think
guess that's
also
a
just-
job for Stephanie.
Yep.
There
Mhm.
you go.
Our new web person.
And then, do we have a BMS lease for the school board?
It's drafted.
I know it's drafted, because there seems to be like, the sanitary inspection and the incident, and like, I'd love to be able to refer to the document so I can get a sense of like, how much are we on the bill for, how much are they on the bill for, who's responsible for getting it all done?
I can answer a couple of those questions. They are responsible for the maintenance. So Dan, the facilities director, has already confirmed the
Mhm.
was it boiler or HVAC?
I don't know, I can give you, I got an email, last week sometime? I happened to check my email just about the time it came in, but it's like, dear Select Board Chair Hawkins, here are some deficiencies we have found at BMS, please make sure they're fixed in the next, 30 days. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not current chair, but also I don't think we're the ones responsible for
Right.
these things. And so I'm shooting off to other people going, I think this needs to get to somebody, because.
Dan did confirm
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
got
And he
the
got it,
email
he was-
as well, but
okay.
yeah, so he did get it and he's on it.
Who
so,
was it from?
I think it was the insurance, one of the
Oh, okay.
whoever insures the boilers or mechanical system that it was referring to.
Right.
So he got it, he's on
Yep.
it, that is their responsibility. Also in terms of what happened with the fire pump, that is an insurance claim. So they've put that in, so anything that's fire watch related should be covered by insurance. However, it's interesting you bring this up because I got asked about mulch today for a new sandbox that was put over by Link at the school and who could provide the mulch. And I don't have an answer for that at this time.
It's
But-
the school would pay for the mulch, but sometimes they coordinate with rec. If they're doing the children's playground across the street from the school.
Because I know we've helped with some
But they
basic
would pay for their own
landscaping, but I
mulch.
don't think, that's what I was
Right.
thinking, that we wouldn't pay for that.
No.
Okay. It's funny, it literally came in my
It's a
inbox like an hour
sandbox
ago.
with mulch though? Or
Around the
it?
outside
Oh,
of
okay.
it.
The sandbox of mulch, you know, the
Yeah.
kids.
Could be. Could be, it's better than eating.
That could be
sand.
quite messy.
But to your point,
Filters.
yes, the lease
Okay.
is on the list and I will get to it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And if we could make sure the capital planning hears about the hybrid equipment that's going in and the fence that's over the garden, make sure those are added to the capital plan and replaced, because at some point, all that stuff is gonna need to be replaced. And to think about that now and when that's gonna fit in and making sure we think
How
about the
many
money
years
now.
long?
Yeah.
Yeah,
will
because like
last?
electronic equipment, you know, in 3 years could easily be outdated. And even if it's sort of working, what happens is that, you know, the model has stopped being made, they've stopped making parts, and you can even have a warranty that says it's good, but if no one can get you any parts, it's, you know, it's a brick.
One of the things I started on and then got away from was building out not only a capital plan, like a 5-year capital plan, but also a maintenance plan as well. And then I realized we do have also the facility study coming in, so I kind of stepped back. But we also have a lot of little bits of articles that are floating out there for things, so I was trying to like capture all of that in a spreadsheet. So we will make sure that we get that information back to capital planning.
Okay.
That's
anything
my
else?
written list.
All
I came with
right.
a written list back, see? Thank you.
So proud of you, Scott.
Well, I got a
So
bunch of
proud
scribbles
you.
on the top
I
of
know-
mine.
I saw your scribbles too, yes.
I don't, and it's more like my to-do list. All right, let's move on to the notice of intent to conditionally appoint Nicole Maffei
Maffei, I believe.
as our police officer.
And
Do
this
I-
obviously is conditional upon passing the academy and all of the tests, but PAT has already been passed with flying colors, so.
And PAT for the people at home who wonder what PAT is.
You know, I forgot about the A, physical agility test.
There you go.
Aptitude.
Aptitude, I get it wrong all the time, thank you.
Me too.
I keep thinking agility.
We have more than one opening in the police department?
We do, so
Unfortunately.
technically we have 3.
Right.
Because, and I thank you for bringing this up, there's a new position starting in January that was approved in the budget. So we have 2 current vacancies, but the academy starts at the end of November. So the idea would be perhaps to start 5 weeks early with that
Mhm.
new position so we wouldn't have to wait.
Mhm.
Chief believes because the department's at about 60% right now, he can cover that in the budget. But I did want to mention that as part of this. So there's another round of PATs that just happened for the second position. And then if there seems to be, you know, a good crop of candidates, we can look for the third.
Just say, because I was kind of hoping if you do a round of interviews, if you have 2 great candidates and 2 openings, you
You've done that.
hire 2.
Yeah,
right?
they were just posted separately.
Okay.
So that was, I think he wanted to make sure it was fair that the
Right.
people who came in on the
Yeah.
second wave got
Yes,
a fair
yeah.
shake at it.
Yep. As long as you.
But there was another candidate who was
Okay,
quite strong
good.
from the first round.
Good.
So.
Just want to make sure we don't lose a good candidate just because they applied for 1 and not the second, so,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to appoint Nicole,
Conditionally appoint.
conditionally appoint Nicole?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It'll be nice to have a woman on the force,
Yes,
full-time woman on the force.
yes.
She's at the jail right now, and just
Not in jail,
no, at working at the jail, not in the jail.
just to make it clear.
Yes, no, but
She's
very,
working there.
very impressive, quiet confidence, leadership, and I think would be a wonderful for especially kind of community school work as well.
And
So
bilingual.
yes, and bilingual. Thank you.
It's good.
Mm.
Yep.
Nice.
All right. We're gonna talk now about the access agreement and deed for 72 Carter Street, the land purchase.
Yes, so these are the final documents that need to be executed for 72 Carter the purchase. There is a recommended or proposed motion in the actual deed document, because that is what legal counsel is recommending, and it's actually right on top of the.
Is this what
Yep.
this is? All right.
So that's what that is. So it's there, as well as the access easement, and then you actually have to do an acceptance of deed. So that is what you would be voting on tonight. This is the acquisition of the 6 and change acres of land over at 72 Carter for open space conservation purposes that was approved at town meeting. Purchase price of $125,000 in CPA funds.
So has conservation approved it, or are they waiting on us?
So they are meeting
Wednesday?
Wednesday. I believe that is their vote date. I will confirm that with Carolyn. But Carolyn has been on all of the emails throughout the process with the attorney, going back and forth, because they needed a lot of information. So these documents have been reviewed by the conservation chair.
Okay, so would you all like me to read this? Or does someone else want to read it?
I have no problem reading if you'd like. Let's see how bad my reading is. I have it up here
All
on my
right.
screen. I move pursuant to the vote taken under under Article 22 of May 1st, 2023 Annual Town Meeting to acquire the property located at 72 Carter Street, Berlin, for the consideration of $125,000. The management and control of which property is to be held by the Conservation Committee for open space and conservation purposes under the revisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, I think Section 8C, Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution, and to execute and to authorize the town administrator to execute on behalf of the select board any and all acceptance, settlement statements, affidavits, and other documents necessary for the appropriate accomplishment and said acquisition. And if I can add, condition upon, the vote of the Conservation Commission, support on Wednesday night or whenever they support it.
And I'm only in there for any other after legal things
Yeah.
that need to be signed. So you would be signing these documents tonight.
Okay.
So I have a question on their agenda. It is on their agenda, but they're having it in executive session. How come theirs is executive session and ours is open session?
Land, land
It says Powerhouse
acquisition?
Hill Conservation Area, 72 Carter, acceptance of deed, executive session to be held after meeting for reason 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
So purchase of land is, while it's basically under negotiation, is a reason for executive session. This has already gone to town meeting, so I am not certain as to why there would be an executive session. I can certainly ask the question.
Yeah, because I'd just kind of be curious as to why we can approve it in open session. And I've already talked about the price, which was already voted upon, but they're going into executive session, so.
Right. I mean, this is what was approved at town meeting, and this is what the voters approved, and legal
Yep.
counsel has drafted. I don't see, honestly, any reason for executive session.
They would still have to vote outside of executive session for any motions. Executive session is only for discussion purposes only,
Right.
so.
So well, we've got a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Sure, once we find out why they're going into executive session.
Well, I don't know if we have to wait for
The
that.
issue with that is that the closing is supposed to take place August 31st, and your next meeting's not until August 28th, and we have to have all the closing documents queued up several days before, or we won't have time with the cutting of the checks and everything that has to happen on the settlement statement.
You are gonna follow up, though.
I am
Okay.
personally gonna follow up, yes.
So we'll approve conditionally,
Want me to do it right
depending
now?
upon your, no,
Okay.
depending upon your feedback.
Yep,
I mean, I'm going, but I'm sure that I'll be booted out, so.
I'm gonna be there as well, so I don't think you'll get booted.
Okay.
Just behave.
What was that?
Thank you for your support.
Did I say that out loud?
All right, so we've got a motion on the table, and we've
now
got
I'll
a second.
officially second it, yeah.
And so we will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, are these color coded? Are two of these for you and
So I don't know.
grantor?
The acceptance of
Executed.
deed requires our signature.
I'll let you.
You just see, so these are where the signatures are. So, yeah. So this is, you would just sign this as the chair. So that's why those two are in orange, because you are the chair.
Okay.
And then everybody
this is
signs
everybody.
the pink ones.
All right.
Yep, sorry, I
didn't
had to
know-
look at it to remember.
I didn't know if the orange was you.
No, I grant nothing.
All right. Okay. Do we want to move on, or do you want to sign these now?
Sign them after.
Okay. Then, now what the heck did I do with my,
Just the beer and wine from
Probably on
St.
the-
Joseph's.
It's the back page.
there we go.
It just assumes I saw the handwriting on the back page. I'm like, I don't think your handwriting's actually on any of those deeds.
No, probably not. Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about a vote to approve a one-day beer and wine license for St. Joe's Church Fall Festival. And that's on September 17th from 10 to 4. Mark your calendars. And I believe everyone
Yep.
Fire.
was positive
fire,
about this.
Police
Fire,
and
police, and
building
building.
commissioner.
Yep.
all said
Okay. And so, do I hear that motion?
I will approve the one-day beer and wine license for St. Joseph's Fair
From 10 to 4.
from 10 to 4.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we have a special event application, Bicycles Battling Cancer. That's Sunday, September 17th from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And I think we had all positive
Mhm.
on, from the department heads. So, are there any
Okay.
questions about this?
As a
or-
whole, we don't get too many of those that go through town, right? 'Cause I know some
No.
towns get concerned because it's like every weekend all the time, but
Yeah.
I don't remember too many of
This
these.
is
A handful
annually.
at most.
This
And this
is-
one is not the
right.
first time this one's happened, right?
Yeah, it's annually.
You're right, you're voting to authorize use of roads for
Yep.
the,
The big thing last year when they went through, they had gone through the town and put up little yellow signs and tacked them all
Oh,
over
that
that
was
said BBC with an arrow, and then after the event was over, those signs stayed up for about a week and people were not happy, so if you
that was
could.
the first thing that I did when I got here,
Yes,
was make
so-
sure the yellow signs came down.
Yes,
I
so
didn't
if you
know that
could
was-
kindly remind them
I
to
sure
please
will.
take their signs down to avoid the,
It's kind of exciting when things start to repeat themselves. I'm sorry I had a moment there.
You can see the pattern.
It's exciting. Well, that's how government is. It's all a pattern. So
All right. So did we make a motion to approve? You
I'll
did.
make the motion to approve, yes.
Okay. Peg,
I'll
do you want a
second it.
second? Okay. Then we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we've got board questions on the agendas and liaison updates. Do you want me to go first?
I'm good. I got through all of mine during the TA report.
And all I have to say is ZBA canceled their August meeting, and Council on Aging is not meeting again until September. So,
easy peasy.
happy
Yep.
summer.
All right,
happy vacation.
So Scott, a couple weeks back, you know how we were talking about trees and them coming down and people had approached you about were there any grants to put trees back in?
Yeah, I think they actually approached Fred. I just happen to know who it was, but yes.
Found grants. Do you
Okay.
want them?
Do
wanna
I
fill
want them?
To fill them out and like start the process?
No, but link it over to, send me the link and I'll see.
Okay.
The person who actually had the biggest interest might actually be someone who might volunteer to help do something like that.
Okay. All right, I will whiz that over to you, so you can take care of that. Kristen, you already covered it, so rec, yeah, those courts are awesome. As I've been told by a couple people in this room, have you been down playing pickleball? I've already been spied.
Yes,
So
I saw you down there.
they're great courts,
Yeah.
you know, they're,
You looked like you were really going at it.
oh, it's a vicious game. It's a vicious
I
game.
would be really disappointed if
friendly.
you said you hadn't been down there.
Oh, yeah, and actually Rec sent out a note today that they're having pickleball lessons. So look on Berlin Neighbors Connect, there's a flyer, 2 sessions of, I think, 24 people max. by a person in town who is like a resident pickleball person, is fully trained in it, has coached and all that other stuff,
Is
so.
that Chaz?
I don't know, I can't remember, but yeah, so no, courts look awesome, so well done to everybody involved. Props to Concom this weekend for the dedication for Judy Christensen, and the general store for providing snacks. Kyle Burns, there's the second read to the kids this Friday night at BMS. So hopefully the weather gods will cooperate, like they did not last time, but we just went inside. And then I'm gonna start pushing the Takeover Town, for Berlin in September. Unfortunately, we've only sold a whopping 32 tickets. 32, count them, 32, and another friend and I can probably equal about half of those purchases. So I thought that I'd probably reach out to Mr. Campbell and Carol and get the word out. Honestly, if you're from Boylston, you want to come, I don't care. If you live in Clinton, you want to come, I don't care. But just to have a nice showing
What's
in
the date
September.
again, Peg? Sorry. Good job.
No,
I
no.
think you need to do a little advertising right now.
All right, hold on. The date is, it's a Tuesday, it's the 12th.
Of-
6:45 September.
12th
We
of
have one of the,
September.
we have one of the last few games of the homestand for the Woo Sox. They're doing really well. But yeah, so tickets are on third base line and on, out in the berm, which is the left field office, or left field line, and I've also talked to the food pantry, and I've offered, and some other people have offered to buy tickets for those who may want to go but can't afford to go. So just waiting to hear what that number is so we can just give them out. But yeah, I'll be pushing it around on Facebook, and we'll get it in the schools now the kids are back. I'm sure when it came out, it was the end of the year, people were like, summer, see you, bye. So we'll get cranking on it. Mm-hmm.
Can I piggyback on one thing that you said about going inside the school for the reading? As many of you know, there was the issue with the fire pump that happened. One thing that the fire department is asking, if you intend to use the building or you're using the building as a backup, please reach out to the fire department, Abby specifically, Abby Vienna, the public safety admin. You can call over the fire department, you can email her. Of course, I don't have her email off the top of my head, but they need to know whenever someone's going to be in the building, because if it's over a certain number of people, they have to have a fire watch. So even if it's only your backup, they need to plan for the worst case scenario. So in addition to scheduling your event through whoever you normally schedule it through, you also need to contact the fire department until the pump comes in, which of course is going to be on a delay since
Yep.
everything is taking longer to come in.
All right, I'll email Kyle Burns, who is the head of Link,
Awesome,
and
thank you.
ask her just to get in touch with Mike or Abby. Hopefully the weather will hold out on Friday, we won't need to go in, but the weather looked really nice that one Friday, and about 2 seconds later it downpoured and thundered and lightning, so everyone ran inside. But I'll get in touch with her.
Perfect, thank you.
And that was it.
Alrighty. Anything else?
No, good.
Okay.
Hmm, all
Then
good.
I guess we could have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.